Hello guys, this is the page that we will actually create. So we have a very simple navbar in here, then we have some sort of hero section with some text around it, stuff like that. Very simple. Then we have some sort of about us. You can notice how it overflows into this whole hero section. So I think that this looks pretty cool. Then we have some sort of image in there. Once again, it sort of overflows to this about us section, which should really say services or something like that. But yeah, then we have like some sort of services tabs. In here, I basically used pretty much all of these colors from the color scheme. I will leave up to you which color you want to use. But once again, then we have some sort of our team section probably or something like that. In here you may use like some picture of your team. In here you can write how professional you are and stuff like that. Then we have the section of what our clients say, some sort of testimonials. So we have just the name, some company, and then we have the quote of what the person actually said. Lastly, we have just call to action and very simple footer. Okay, very simple footer. So let me show you how it looks like on a mobile phone. So if I change the view to iPhone X, you can notice if I go all the way up, wow, a lot of scrolling to do. We have some sort of menu. It works. You can probably just change the color because it is a little hard to read. But yeah, then we have the hero section. Everything looks pretty good. Then we have the about us. Once again, just a lot of text and the image. Then we have the services, nothing too interesting about it. Once again, the same thing, what our clients say. In here, we've just basically took everything and align it to center. And then we have the call to action. And I think that this is pretty much it. Okay, so that's the whole website that you will create in the next hour or so. So one thing that I just want to mention is that if you at any point feel the need to smash the like button, feel free to do so. It's free and it helps me out a lot. And without any further ado, let's just get into it. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do is just customize the Bootstrap theme. So I've already have a video about how to customize the Bootstrap theme. You do it via SAS. So this is just basically how you can do it. I will not explain in this video how you can customize it. Feel free to check out the other video about how you can customize this on your own, and then do that on your own. So what I just did is I just set the basically color scheme in here. So I've just overridden the primary color, secondary dark light, and I've also set the font to the to this one, Lato, I guess. And I've also defined the spacer so that there is a little bit more space around these elements when we use those classes like padding 1, padding 2, and stuff like that, right? Padding margin, everything of that sort. So what I'm going to do now is just basically just compile this. So I have opened up my bash in here. So what I will do is just type in here SAS and then compile this. So it's called custom SCSS. Wow, like this, and we want this to be my Bootstrap. That's CSS, of course. And let's hit enter, and eventually this should compile into our customized Bootstrap library that we can use throughout our whole project. Yeah, there it is, it's done. And you can notice that the my bootstrap.css is actually our Bootstrap library. Okay, cool. So with all of that being done, let me just move on and create the whole project. Alright, so I've got everything ready and I've created a new folder, opened it up in my Visual Studio Code. I've got the index.html file here. I've got some sort of image folder. I have a couple of images in there that we will use throughout the project, and I've also copy pasted this my bootstrap.css file, right? You can notice that it is pretty large file. It have almost 10,000 lines of code. So that's everything that is in the Bootstrap library. Alright, so with all of that, what we will do now is just import the font awesome. So font awesome CN, just type in here font awesome CDN, right? CSS link. Click on the first link and go to CSS, and you can just import this whole thing. Alright, so if I just go to our project and actually create some sort of new basic default template, so I will just close this whole thing, maybe make it a little bit larger so that you can see it properly. Nice, so we have just a simple basic template, right? And I will just link to this font awesome, so link with the relation being style sheet, so style sheet like this, and let's just say that the href will be whatever we've just copied, right? So this whole thing, and let's just close this tag and we are good to go. So we've imported the font awesome library version 5.13.0. So what we will do now is just go to the font awesome documentation. So I will just type in here docs, or you can just use font awesome. It will automatically take you to the documentation. So good. And if you click on the first link, it should take you here. And if you go to the docs, you should be able to get to the documentation where you can just search out different types of icon that you may want to use in your project. Cool. So let me also just import the Bootstrap. So link, once again, relation being style sheet. And let's just type in here href, and we want to go to CSS and then my Bootstrap CSS. And that's about it. So now what we can do is just try to reload this page. Let's see whether we will get a document. Of course we will not, because I didn't go live with this whole thing. So I will just open with live server. This is just a extension that will automatically reload the page for you when you save your file. It's a great thing, really great. So yeah, that's just extension. Feel free to install it if you want. Alright, so I think that we are now ready to actually go to Bootstrap and maybe just get pieces of their documentation. So go to documentation and let me just actually get some sort of navbar. So I will just type navbar in here, and we should be able to get some sort of navigation. I don't like this one. Let's just go down here and let's just copy this one. I think that this will be easier. So what I will do is just paste it inside here, save it, and let's just go in here and see whether that works. Yeah, there it is, right? So nice and clean navigation. Good. So what we will do is just change these to, so let's just remove this active, and let's just remove this disabled thing, and let's probably just move it to right. So we will do margin left of auto. Let's see, there it is, it's moved to right. What we can do is just put this whole thing into a div with the class of container, so that there is a little bit of space. And now you might think that you see this background, right? So if we move it into the container has margin around it. So the background will be removed right in here. Yeah, there it is. So, but this is actually what I want to do. I think that this looks actually pretty cool. And let's also try to add rounded at bottom. Let's see how that would look like. I don't see anything, so maybe I'm just typing it wrong. So border radius, right? So border radius, this whole thing. And let's take a look. You should, yeah, rounded bottom. Let's see whether I spelled it correctly. Okay, I did. Okay, maybe I just don't see it on my screen for some reason, because I'm sitting a little bit too far from my computer. But yeah, anyway, there should be a little round at the bottom. Okay, but anyway, I think that this looks pretty cool. We can go with that. What I also want to do is just say that this whole thing will be fixed at top, and we can just do it. Yeah, let's just do it in here. probably. So this whole thing should be fixed at top, and when we start scrolling, it will stay at top. Good. So now we can just move on to our hero section. So hero, like this, and let's just create a new section with the class of hero. I'm not sure whether we will use it because I will try to write as little CSS code as possible. I will try to use mostly the Bootstrap classes for this whole thing. So what I will do is just add a image with the class of image fluid. So it will take the whole available space, and the source could be something like, I don't know, image, and what do we have in there? I think that there is a lot of sort of white background images. I think that this one is actually darker, so let's see how that would look like. So there should be a image, there it is, it loads really slowly. But yeah, I think that this looks actually pretty nice. We can just try out different images. This one is dark, yeah, there it is. So I think that this one looks actually pretty cool. Okay, so let's just go with this one, and in here we can also try to play with this thing. So we can just change this background, instead of light we can change it to primary. Let's see how that would look like. There it is. And let's actually try to put the rounded bottom in here, because it might be that, yeah, I think that this changed. Okay, I'm not sure whether we can actually change the size of this, how much it is rounded. Yeah, let's just try this rounded large. So let's just try rounded bottom and rounded large, and let's see. Yeah, there it is. Nice. I think that this looks actually pretty cool. We can just try and go with the background dark, and then use some sort of white image in there. So background dark, and let's also use color. Let's just try primary, or sorry, text primary. So the primary color that we've used, and we may want to try a different image. Alright, so after a little bit of trying, I decided to go with this image that's sort of clean, white, and let's just, we cannot override this whole thing because these links have their styles, so we need to put it in here, right? The styles of the link will override the text light that we've put into this navigation. Okay, so we need to put them directly to these links, and there they are. I think that this looks actually pretty nice. We may want to just put a little bit of margin in here, so let's just go with margin on x-axis of 2 or something of that sort. And let me just put it everywhere, so in here and in here, and let's see how that looks like. Yeah, there it is. I think that this looks actually better. And we can actually style out the logo, so this should say something like business or like company. Yeah, let's just call this one company, with the penny being in span, so span. And let me just put it in there, so control exit inside of a span. And let me just add a class to the span saying that this is bold. So font, weight, bold. Bold, like this one. And let's see how that would actually look like. It should make it bolder. Yeah, there it is. I don't know. Let's see whether we can use something like extra bold. So I will just go in here, type in here, or we just want font weight, right? So font weight. And let's take a look. So we have weight bold, bolder. All right, let's just use bolder. So I will go back here, and instead of bold, I will just use bolder, and that might make it even more bold. And I think that this looks actually pretty cool. We can just use it like this. Feel free to just edit it out yourself. But I think that we are pretty much good to go. So what we will create in here is just some sort of div with the class of hero section or hero content, and we will put it somewhere in the middle of the screen. Yeah, and this hero content we will probably have to style in our CSS, but that's okay. So inside here we will just create a H1 heading saying this is our company. Okay, then we will have maybe some sort of punchline or some sort of paragraph. Let's just use something like lorem of 10, just 10 words. And then we will have just maybe some div with the class of button container. And in here we will have just our buttons. So in reality, these are just links, and we will have some sort of href in here and some CSS classes. The classes that we will use is just button and button primary, or something like this, and we can actually add the button large. I'm not sure whether we should have changed the button into button large, but we will find out soon enough, I think. And let's just name this one learn more. And we can just add more buttons in there. So yeah, there it is. I think that this looks actually pretty cool. We can just say that the rounded will be 0. That means there would be no border radius. There it is, nice. And let's just add another one. And let's just make it dark, button dark. Let's see how that would look like. So it should be there. There it is, nice. I think that this looks actually cool. So let's just change it to contact us or whatever. And yeah, I think that this is probably the way to go, and we can just style it out in our CSS. All we have to do now is let's just add the text center class so that it is centered. But otherwise I think that we are pretty good. Okay, so let's just move it up there. So I will just go to our CSS and somewhere up here, or we can just put it, yeah, let's just move it in here. And what I will just do is just target the hero content class, and I will say that the position will be absolute, and let's just say that the top will be 50%. And let's see how that would look like. If I save this whole thing, reload it, there it is, and let's just say that the left will be also 50%, and we also want to transform it, right? So transform it and then translate via -50% and -50%. This is just a CSS trick so that it is really centered towards the element. So there it is, it's really centered, and let's maybe move it a little bit upward, I think. So let's probably just say I'm not sure which one is the X and which one is the Y axis. I think that this one should be Y axis. So let's just save it and see if I reload it. For some reason it doesn't want to reload now. There was maybe something wrong with the extension. Yeah, I think that this was the Y axis, and let's just probably say something like 30%. Let's see, so that it is actually above the table. I think that this looks actually cool, but what we might also do is just make the whole container smaller. So hero, and I will just say max height will be, I don't know, like 30 grams. That's maybe too small, probably too small. No, I think that this is actually all right. Okay, so what we want to do now is, I cannot stand to look at this. Let's just move it down there again. It will be over the image, but I mean, what can you do? Yeah, okay. And let me just say that the H1 will have the class of display or heading 1. I'm not sure. So let's just go to the documentation, and inside here let's just use headings like this, and there should be classes for them. So class of H1, and we want this to be the display one probably. So that should make it a lot larger. Let's see if I add the class to this. So class of display 1, and let's see if I save it. There it is, a lot larger. And let's also let's just make it a little bit smaller, and let's just say that the font weight will be bolder. So let's see how that would look like. There it is. And we still need to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, this is it. So this is our company. And there is these small little text that you are having problems reading. What you may want to do is just remove this whole thing so that there is just the heading and these buttons. Yeah, I think that this looks actually better. It's sort of clean, easy, good looking, just like me. Alright, so let's just move on and create other sections. So underneath the hero section we will have just some sort of about us section, and we will just create a section with the class of padding on Y of 5. So there will be a lot of padding on this whole thing. And yeah, so inside here we will have just some sort of h2 with the class of section heading. Probably that's another thing that we will probably need to style in our CSS. Section heading, and in here we can just type about us, and we can just put it into a span. So span, and let's maybe just put the about into the span. Alrighty, nice. So let's just add a little bit of padding to this whole thing. So padding on the Y of 3, and we probably want to move it to center, right? So text center, like this. Nice. Alright, so then we will have a div with the class of container, and inside of the container we will have a div with the class of row, and inside of the row we will have a div with the class of call of md of 6. Nice. And inside here we will just type something about our company. So what we will do is just say that there will be some sort of paragraph. Wow, paragraph of some lorem of, let's just go with 80. Boom, that's it. And let's also add another paragraph because we are a very successful company, and in this one we will use 100 words. So yeah, that's a lot. Nice. So if I save it and reload it, there should be, okay, there is something about us. We probably need to make the hero relative, so position relative, and let's see whether it helps out. Okay, it doesn't reload for some reason. There it is. There is still something wrong with this whole thing. Let's just use these. Let's just use the developer tools and check out what's going on. So what do we have? There is the image, and of course the image overflows the hero section. So that's good. Why the hell does it do that? Okay, let me think about this whole thing. I'm not sure why it does that, but we can actually like use it to our advantage, because it might look actually cool if we just have some sort of background with this whole thing. I think that this might look actually cool, so let's just use that. Yeah, sometimes things happen that you just style something out by an accident. Yeah. So what I will do is just move this whole thing in here, and I will just say I will move this whole thing into another div with the class of content, or no, with the class of actually padding of 3, and let's just use shadow, and I will just take all of this, move it in there. Let's see how that looks like. Okay, so there we have it. Alright, so it should look like that. I think that this will look actually pretty cool if I just use the background. Let's try how dark would look like, so that there should be a dark text. Alright, that looks interesting, but maybe just something like light might look better. Alright, I think that this looks actually pretty cool, so we can just go with that. And what we can also do is just set to this whole section thing, we can just say that the background of this thing will be, how would primary look like? So there should be, this background sort of will be, yeah, the primary color. Wow, I think that this looks actually pretty cool, even though we can maybe change it to dark or something like that. Feel free to play with these things on your own. I will just maybe try secondary. Okay, so I think that this looks actually pretty cool. And we can just try this one. Okay, so we've used the secondary color for this one, and let's maybe try this one to be the primary. Let's see. Yeah, that looks horrible. And what happens if we just use white, like plain good old white? I think that this looks actually the best. Yeah, so let's go with that, and let's maybe add some sort of social links in here. So we will just have an unordered list, or we don't have to add actually social links. We can just add some sort of reasons why we are great, you know. So the class of FA, and let's just use check. So check like this, and inside here we will just say reason why we are great, like this. And let's see whether we have something like that in there. There it is. Though we have the horrible text decoration, or like style decoration, so I will just put the unordered list and just say the style is it. I'm not sure. Yeah, list style, and let's just say none. There is none. All right. And let's save this whole thing. That should help out a lot. Good, so we can just copy paste a couple of these. So I will just copy paste it, see how it looks like. There should be just a couple of reasons why we are great. Yeah, you can just add a little bit of margin to right to this whole thing. So let's just use margin right of 1. Let's see how that would look like. There should be a little bit of space. There it is. So I will just put it everywhere. But otherwise I think that this looks actually pretty okay. Good. What we can also do is maybe just change the color. So let's just say text primary, or like, yeah, let's just use the secondary. So secondary, and let's see how it looks like. Yeah, I think that this looks actually better. Let's just go with that. So I will just copy paste it everywhere. And then we will actually move on and add some sort of image in here. Just to, so somewhere in here we probably want to put it underneath this whole thing, or not really underneath, but somewhere around here. So this would be a tough thing to actually put it in there. If I've used, let's see, if I've used this one, and I will just put a image in there with the class of image fluid, and let's just maybe try margin top auto. I'm not sure whether that will work, probably not, but you know, you can try it out. And source will be just some sort of image, whatever. And let's just close this whole thing, and let's see. Okay, there it is. There's the image. It's actually the same one, but whatever. But margin top obviously doesn't work, so let's just try in here justify content center, or no, sorry, align items. So align items, and let's see. If I reload it, nothing happens. So let's just try in here, align items. I want to align it to end. What is the class? Yeah, this one. Align items end, but we also need to display it as a flex. Okay, so display flex, align items to end, and let's see how it looks like. There it is. Nice. Good. So we may want to use just some sort of different image, probably something like larger, that have larger height. Let's just try out a different couple of images. Yeah, I think that this one, the 11, looks good, so let's just go with that. So 11, and let's see how that would look like. Yeah, there it is. Nice. And let's see how actually if we add a little bit of margin at the top would look like. So in here I will just put a div with the class of margin on top, and we can put it in there, right? So like this, and let's see, of course we need to this is not margin on top. Wow, stupid me. So like this, that should add a little bit of margin, but yeah, it really doesn't matter. So what we can actually try to do is style this one in our CSS, and let's actually move it a little bit more down. So inside here I will just put negative margin bottom. Yeah, let's just try that. And inside here I will just create a new class for this one, and this will be negative margin bottom. And in here I will just say that the margin bottom will be negative. What a surprise. So let's just use -4 rems, and let's see how that would look like. So if I reload it, there it is, it's underneath. And I think that this looks actually pretty cool. Let's just try out maybe a little bit more. Let's just try out 8, and we maybe want to just put it into a shadow, right? So let's just add a shadow to this whole thing. Shadow class, and there should be a shadow around it. But otherwise, I think that this looks actually pretty cool. It's sort of like stylish. Yeah, so I think that this looks actually good. Though I don't see the shadow, or is there shadow? I'm not sure. So let's just move on to other section. We will find out. So I will just create a new section tag. So that's the about taken care of, and what we can do now is just style the services. Good. So we will have another section. I will add a class to this whole thing of padding on Y of around 5, and let's just say that the background, let's just keep it white actually. So let's see. Now we should be able to see, yeah, there is a shadow. All right, and what we can do is just move it down a little bit more. So let's just try out something like 12 frames. I think that this looks actually good. You can always play with this. You can actually move this whole thing down a little bit by changing the height of the hero. So if I say the hero is 35, we can just move it down a little bit, right? It's moved down, and this whole thing is also down. So yeah, let me just actually do that. I will just put maybe something like 38 in here, and I think that this will look actually good. Okay, yeah, I think that this looks very nice. Good. So in here we will actually style the services. So what we will do is just have some sort of section heading, and we also need to style this one, right? I forgot. And let's see, let me just style it right now. So I will just go in here and put a section heading, and let me just say that the text transform will be to uppercase like this, and let's just say that the font weight, we can maybe add this to as a Bootstrap class, right? But I mean, yeah, you can do that. And let's just maybe target the span inside there. This thing is just faster, you know. So I will just target the span that is inside, and I will say that the color will be the primary one. Of course, I can't find it in here, so let's just try and find something with the class of primary, or the secondary maybe. Of course, so that's great. Where is it? There it is. Nice. So let me just copy paste it, the dark color, and let's go back up here and actually change it. So yeah, there it is. Nice. And let's see how it looks like. Okay, about us. Good. and we can maybe just put a little bit of underlining underneath this, or we can just use the before or after element. Yeah, or we can just keep things simple, you know. So that might actually be the best thing to do in this case. Alright, so let's just go with this, and let me just change the button in the index to actually a button secondary instead of primary. I think that this secondary color looks actually better. Okay, so like this. I think that this looks actually better. Good. Alright, so we've got some padding, and let me just add some margin on the y-axis to this whole thing, because it's still very close to this whole image. Good. And now we can just create these about us features. So what I will do is just create a new div with the class of container. Inside of the container, I will create a new div with the class of row. Inside of the row, I will create another div with the class of call on middle devices of 4, like this. And inside here, I will just create another div with the class of padding of 3. Nice. And inside here, we will just have a icon with the class of font awesome. Let's just use fire or something like that, and let's just use the display of 4. That may be too large, but we will find out soon enough. Let's save this thing, and there should be some sort of icon in there. Okay, so the fire is not working. I will go to this whole thing. There's the documentation, and let's just search for fire, and let's see. You can add a lot of classes, I think, like maybe dashboard will work or something like that. Yeah, we don't want to wait for this whole thing to load. So there's some sort of error. Yeah, there it is. So let's just close this whole thing up. But otherwise, I'm not able to actually see this whole thing. Where is it? So if I opened up the developer tools and try to find the whole element, it's somewhere hidden. There it is. Why we can't see this? Alright, so it's nothing in there. Let's just see what happens if we remove this display. Nothing happens. Yeah, alright, so it have the width and height of 0. Okay, that's odd. Let's just try the check, because we know that the check worked. So check, and there is some problem with this whole thing. And okay, I see. So the display class was some sort of problem, caused some sort of problem. Not sure why. Because in my opinion, it should just set the font size. Let me just put it in here. So display of 3 or 4, doesn't matter. Let's see what, yeah, it worked. So you need to put it into a div, and inside here you can just say display 4, and now it will work, because I don't know. So I will just put it in there, write display 4, and let me close this thing. Wow, I can't write really. Let me put it in there, and there it is. Nice. So we should be able to have that. There it is. Nice. So we will just put service 1 in here. There should be some sort of heading saying that this is service 1. Nice. There is. Let's maybe put the text dark class to this whole thing. So inside here, I will just do this whole thing. And let's see, we may want to do just shadow, probably something like small shadow around this, and we definitely need to add some sort of margin to this. So margin of 3, probably a good way to go. There it is. Nice. So then what we can do is just align the text to center. So text center. We can maybe just say to this whole thing, that this text will be prime or secondary, something like that. Let's see. There it is, nice. And let's maybe try to put the background of dark in here. That might look interesting. So background of dark, nice. But with all of that being done, we have to remove the padding in here and put the content into the padding. So this should stretch this whole thing. Yeah, there it is. And let's just put the content into the padding. So inside here I will have a div with the class of padding of 3. Right? Because we want the text to have some space around it. But we don't want the icon or this sort of background to have any space around it. What we may want to just try to do is just say yeah, text secondary. So let's just use white, might look good. And let me just add a little bit of padding to this whole thing. So padding on y-axis of 2, maybe 3. We will find out. I will just try it 3, and maybe this display is a little bit too large, but yeah, I will leave that up to you to figure out. Good, so we can just name our services, and underneath we can have some paragraph with some lorem in there. So lorem of 30. Wow. So lorem of 30. Nice. So there should be, there it is, a little bit of text. That's maybe too much text, but anyways, we can just change this whole thing to some smaller padding, so that should stretch things out a little bit. There it is. And maybe in here we can just use a smaller margin. And then we can just try and copy paste these whole things. So we can just copy paste it like this, and let's see how that would look like. So we should have 3 services in here, pretty similar services. There's still a lot of margin. Let's just change this to margin 1. Yeah, let's see how that would look like. Okay, margin 1, let's see. Wow, there's what's happening. There's maybe some padding by default, right? So yeah, there is padding by default. So we can just get rid of this whole thing. It's useless, just as I am. So let's just remove this and remove this whole thing. Nice. So I think that this should start to look pretty good. All right. Really, let me just try to change the background instead of dark to actually secondary. Alright, so I've played with the color a little bit, but I don't know. I will just leave it this way. I will leave it up to you to actually choose which color you actually like. And let me just copy paste and change some icons. Alright, so I've copy pasted everything, and I've also just added some classes to these headings so that they look a little bit better. I also need to add a margin at the top to these sort of articles in the bottom line, so that there is a little bit of space between these. But otherwise I think that this looks pretty cool, so let's just go with that. Alright, so we are done with our services, and let me just actually copy paste the About Us section, because I really like that one, and I think that if we just name it somehow differently, and we can just talk a little bit more about our team, you know. So I will just paste it in there, and let's reload it. There it is. Though now this sort of article is not up here. I know why. I will tell you why. Because let me just put a little bit of padding at the bottom to this whole thing. Okay, so I will make this thing larger, and we will move this one up, but I think that up here is enough. So what we will do is just say negative margin top. So in here I will just add the class to this, so negative margin top, and I will go to the CSS, and let me just take this whole class, copy paste it in there, and let's just say margin top, and instead of margin bottom it will say what the hell happened. Okay, instead of margin bottom it will say margin top, and I think that this might work. So let's see if I reload it. I don't know why it's doing this, but yeah, currently as you can see it's above this whole thing, and I think that this looks actually pretty nice, so good. Now what we may want to do is just put the contact us section in here, or we can just do something like what our clients say, up to you. So let me just maybe do the what our clients say in here. So section with the class of testimonials, and let's just put a padding to this, definitely. So padding on Y of 5. We will probably need some sort of section heading, so I will just copy paste it in there. So copy paste, easy as that. And instead of about us, it should say something like what our clients say. But yeah, so this thing should be probably away from the span, so I will just control exit out, put it in here like this. So let's see, there it is, what our clients say. I think that this looks actually pretty good. And what we want to do now is just put a row in there, or first of all we want to put a container in there, and this container will have a row in there, and I will just close these things, nice. And let me just define the testimonials. So we will have a div with the class of call, of large, of let's see, or even middle probably, and let's just try something like free. We will just add the a image in here. Let's just say that it will have the class of image fluid, and it will have the class of rounded circle, and we obviously need to define the alt and the source. Source will be image, and then I don't know, I have no idea which one we will choose. I'm not sure whether there is a image with actual person in there, so with some face. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Image, of course, we want image fluid, and so that might help. Where it is, there it is. Good. We need to also fix it up in CSS, but otherwise if I just put justify content center in here, I think that this might look good. And let's also put another div in here with the class of call of MD of 6, probably something like that. Inside here we will have just our John Doe. Then what we can also put in there is maybe his company, right? So what I will do is just have a div with the class of display flex, and inside there I will just put our little John Doe in there, and let's also have a paragraph just saying this is a XYZ company. You probably don't want to just write it this way. You probably just want to use the text transform for this, but what can you do? And let's just add some sort of margin to left from this thing. So margin to left of 2. And inside here we also want to align items to center. So let's see how that would look like. Of course it doesn't work. Align items, and let's see, there it is, nice. So let me just add the class of color, or sorry, text secondary, and so that should add a little bit of text style to this, and we can maybe just style it as a badge. Let's just try a badge in here, and let's just use badge primary. So let's just try and see how it looks like. Yeah. So let's just use batch dark. I think that batch dark should look pretty good. If we wait a little bit, there it is. And let's just add a little bit of padding to this whole thing. So let's just use padding of 1. I think padding of 1 might look good. Yeah, I think that this looks actually pretty nice. So let's go with that. You may want to try a padding of 2 or whatever, but I will just leave it this way. Good. So underneath we will create another div with the class of testimonial. Or I don't know, however you want to call this, it's up to you. I will just put a padding in there, and then we will have a div, or we can just use the icon straight away. So this will have a font. No, we probably want to use div, sorry. So let me just create the icon. So class should be FA quote to the left, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see whether we can see something, or we have to Google it. There it is, nice. I remember everything. I'm like Einstein, but only for remembering things. So let me just put a display of 4. Let's make it really large, the icon. And let me just put it in there, and then we will have a paragraph saying something what the person actually said. So lorem of, let's just go with 40, because they have a lot to say about our service. And let's see, there it is. Okay, so this looks definitely interesting, and it also looks horrible. So that's just like 2 ways how we can describe it. And let me put the padding of 3 also in here. So padding of 3 in here. Let's save it. So we should move it a little bit in there. There it is. And yeah, probably the padding on bottom should be 0. So we just want to padding on x-axis anyway. And I think that even with this whole yeah, we probably want to padding on x-axis in here also. So anyway, I think that this looks actually good. With this row, we can just say align items to center. So that should move the image down a little bit, hopefully. Let's see if I go down there. There it is. It's in center. Good. So let me just actually style out the whole image thing, and let me probably just use a different image. Let me try and search for some sort of person. Yeah, there it is, person. So we just can use a person. Cool. So person, and I'm not sure whether it was person 1 or just person. Let's see. Yeah, person. Good. So what we can do now is just say, hey, I want to target the rounded circle class. Or no, I want to target the image that have the rounded circle class. Like this. And what we want to do is just say that the width will be 150 pixels. And guess what? The height will be the same thing. So height, 150 pixels. And what we can do now is also use the object width so that it keeps the aspect ratio. So cover, like this. And save it, reload it. And there it is, nice. And let's also use the text right for this whole thing. So where is it? There it is. Okay, there it is. So I will just use text right in here. That should move it to right. So if I reload it, there it is. Very good. So that's our testimonial. I think that this looks actually pretty good. So what we can do is just take this whole row and just copy paste it. Simple as that. Because what? Because we are lazy programmers. And let's just try to switch things out a little bit. So do the classic CSS trick, or not really a CSS trick, it's just like, you know, web developer trick, I guess. So inside here we want to align it to left, so we can just remove it actually. We definitely want to use some sort of padding, so margin on y-axis of, let's at least use something like 3, and let me just put it also in here. Good. So there should be space, a little bit of space between these. we can also try to put the text right in here, just to see how things would look like. There it is. I think that this looks actually pretty good, although inside here we want to use justify content center. Wow. No, center, sorry, end. So that should do the trick. If I reload the page, it should move it to end. It doesn't. Why? Have no idea. So we display this flags, aligned items to justify. Okay, so justify. Okay, so I've got a typo in here. So if I change it and if I learn how to write things, I think that this will look pretty good. There it is. Though I would definitely put the margin a little bit larger, or a lot larger actually, just so that we have really a lot of space in here. I would say that the space is actually a good thing. Okay. It still seems to me that there is like a small amount of margin to me. Why is there such a small amount? I would like to be there. I would like for this to have a little bit of more space. Let's just use a padding at bottom for this thing. Reload it. So what our clients say. Alright, so that's just too much. Great. After an hour of trying, I figured out that, yeah, this one looks pretty cool. So let's just go with this, and let me just paste it in there, and let me actually just copy paste this one so that we have more content on the website and it looks more, I don't know how it should look, but anyway, I think that this looks actually pretty good. Overall, it's a sort of simple way. Yeah, I like it. Alright, so what we can do now is maybe put some sort of call to action section on this website so that it looks a little bit better. So let's see. So call to action. So we will create a new section with the class of definitely some padding on the y-axis, and let's just use the background of dark. Let's try it out. Yeah, we didn't use the background of dark pretty much anywhere on the website, and I think that this is a pretty good place to put it. Okay, so in there we will have just some sort of div with the class of container. Then we will have another div with the class of row. Then we will have just some sort of heading. Let's just use h4, maybe at h3 heading for this thing, and it will say just call to action. And underneath we will have maybe just a little text saying, why are we calling you? Good. So then what we can also say in here is that we want the text to be white. That might help a lot. Good. So of course we need to put a div with the class of call of whatever size we want. So let's just use MD of 6. That's maybe too small, but what can you do? We can change it out later on. And let's just put it in there. And then we will have another div with the class of call of MD of 3, whatever. And inside here we will have just the button. So I will just copy paste it because what? Because I'm lazy. And I will just put it in there. And let's see how it looks like. There it is. Okay, so we got it like this. Let me think what we need to do. So in here we need to put justify content center. We also need to align items to center, and let's see how that would look like. Let me just remove this padding, make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, that looks much better. So if the padding is a little bit smaller, I think that this looks actually pretty cool. So we can just move on and actually finish this whole thing up with a footer. So we will just create a very simple footer. And inside here I will just put a footer. And this thing will have, yeah, we need some sort of, yeah, we would love to have some sort of dark color in there, but we've just used this this sort of dark color up here. So what we will use is a class. Let's try to change this thing to secondary. Let's see how that would look like, and then we can just use the dark color in there. Yeah, I think that this looks good. So I will just put the background of dark in here, and let's just use the padding of 5. Good. Also we need the text to be white, like Mr. White. Good. Alright, so we will just have another div with the class of container. And actually what we can do is just basically put this whole navigation in there. Where is it? This whole thing. I can just grab it and put it in there because, I mean, why not? Right, we will have just a simple navigation. Let's see how that looks like. Yeah, there it is. Why not? I mean, yeah, good. So I think that there is maybe a little bit too much padding. Definitely there's a lot of padding in here. So let's just remove it in this. So I will just say padding on top will be just 5 in this testimonials. So that should remove a little bit of space, but there's still too much space. So let's go down here and pick the last, wow. I think that this is the last testimonial, right? So this one should say margin on top only, not margin on the bottom. Let's see. There it is. I think that this looks good. Nice. So then we have the company. Yeah, I think that this looks pretty alrighty. And what we can do now is just change this nav to div, because there should be only one nav in the whole page. So let's just change this to div, save it. Let's see. There it is. Nice. And let's just put underneath this nav, let me just put the credits. So what I will do is just use a div with the class of credits, and I will just say that this page was made by me. So made by me. And I will also add the copy sign 2020, all rights reserved. Good. No exclamation mark, it's not necessary. There it is, and let me just align it to center. So text center, text center, and probably we don't need that much space at the bottom. So padding on top could be 5 and padding on bottom could be 3, and we can just say maybe margin on top in here of just 2 or something like that, so that we can separate these things a little bit. There it is. Good. I think that we are actually done. I think that this is the actual whole theme. So what we can do now is just test how it looks on a mobile phone. So I will just open up the developer tools, click on this magic button, and take a look at how it looks like on a mobile phone. So this whole thing is not working. Why it isn't working? Well, we didn't add the JavaScript. So what we can just do is go to, I don't know, home. Yeah, let's just go to the get started, and there's the JavaScript. Right, so you need jQuery, stuff like that in order for this to work. I will put it underneath the footer, but I think that currently the page should actually, yeah, there it is. So we got the menu working very properly. Alright, so then there is like the problem with the image. So what we can actually do is just say, go here. Let's actually just use, instead of height, let's just use instead of max height, let's just use height. Yeah, I think that this actually works pretty good. Alright, so let's just change it out. So I will go to the 0. Instead of height, I will just say, instead of max height, I will just say height. Let's reload it. We can maybe play a little bit with these buttons because they are currently a little bit too large for the screen to fit. Let's just see what's the problem in there. Right, so this is the whole button container. It's taking up, is it taking the whole possible? Let's see, if we go, I will make this a little bit larger so that you can actually see what I'm trying to find. So this hero content actually doesn't have the width of 100%. Yeah, let's just try it out. So hero content will have the width of 100%. Wow. Nice, so that will work. I'm not sure how it would look like on a, yeah, it looks even cool on the desktop. So let's just put the width of 100% in here. So that should fix this whole thing up. So let's just save it and reload it, and let's make it smaller. There it is. I think that this looks actually pretty good. Let's move on. Okay, so we have the about us with the image. I think that this looks actually very nice, with the image being like directly next to this. Then we have the about us, so some services. You probably want to put the margin at top to each and every one of these, right? But I will just leave it this way. I will leave it up to you to fix. Okay. Then we have the about us, which actually looks pretty good. So sorry, this is maybe something like our team. Okay. And then we have what our clients say. Okay, so this doesn't look really good. So what we would like to do is just say that when we are on our mobile phone, we want to put everything that's in this section to center, right? We want to just say, hey, this will be text center. So, right, let me just do that. So in the index, I will just go, yeah, in here, we have the class of testimonials. Nice. So what I will do is just use a media query for this because there's pretty much no other way to do this. So I will just use media query with the max width being smaller than, let's just use 500 pixels. So we are definitely on a mobile phone area in here, and I will just target the testimonials, and I will just say the text align will be center. Will be center, and we need to make this one important because otherwise it will get overridden by these classes that we've added. So let's just reload it, see how it looks like. I think that this should actually help. Okay, it doesn't. So let me just check this whole thing out. Alright, so this definitely doesn't have the text align to center. Text right. Text align right is important. Damn it. So it gets, alright, so it gets overridden in there. Alright, so we just have to create a selector that have higher priority than the one that's later on. So I will just target the text left class in here, and let me also target the text right class, and hopefully this will help. Right, so the selector, right, was just correct, but it got overridden later on because there was a selector with a higher priority in the whole CSS file. Currently, I've changed it so that this selector has actually higher priority, and it actually seems like it's working. Yeah, we probably want to put like text left class to these things. So let me just go back there. Or we can just save it, probably. We maybe forgot to save this whole thing. Is that possible? Yeah, no. So let me just add the text right to this. So we will go back down here, and in here we will just say that this thing will, or sorry, this will have text left class, right? We want the text on a laptop, we want it to be aligned to left. Same thing will go in here, and currently I think that this should be in center. Good. So I think that this looks actually pretty nice. Then we have the call to action. The button might actually be the button dark, so I've actually forgot to change it when we've played with the colors. So instead of secondary, it should be probably dark. But otherwise, I think that this looks pretty good. So if I scroll down there it is, dark. And overall, then we have like menu. And this one is, yeah, so this is a little bit odd one. So let me just fix that. This just because of the copy pasting, right? So inside here, I will just remove this whole thing, right? Like this, I think. Let's see if I reload it. There it is, nice. So we have just a menu. I think that this looks actually okay. You can play with this and make it aligned to on one line, make it inline, right? But whatever. Yeah, so we are done. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit the like button. It's free and it helps me out a lot. Also feel free to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos like this one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you next time. Bye.